Hi everyone, and welcome back in part 2 of this section, the multiplication and division operators. Let's consider we have a variable of data type integer and say its name is daily wage and it equals to 5, where that variable represents the daily wage of a worker. And let's say we have another variable also of data type integer and say its name is working days and it equals to 25, where that variable represents the number of days the worker made this month. So now if we want to calculate the wage of that worker this month, we will need the multiplication operator so that we can multiply the number of working days times the daily wage and then get the monthly wage value. Okay, and as usual we can write that multiplication operation directly in the print statement like that: system dot out dot print ln, and let's multiply that variable. Let's copy that, copy and paste here. And for the multiplication operator, it has this symbol, which is called star or also called asterisk. And we wanted to multiply that variable by that one, working days by the daily wage. So copy and paste here. And don't forget the semicolon. And now, if we run the program will first multiply these two variables, daily wage and working days, and then prints out the result. So let's run the program and see. Okay, it prints 125, which represents the monthly wage of that worker, which is his daily wage times the working days he performed this month. And also, as usual, we can store that operation inside a variable. So let's say we have a variable named monthly wage and it equals to that operation. Let's copy that and paste here and the semicolon at the end. Okay, and for each data type, since the values of these two variables are integers, so also the result of their multiplication will be an integer as well. So that variable will be integer since it holds the result of multiplying two integer variables. Okay, and now we can print that variable that contains the result of multiplication operation rather than putting the whole operation in the print statement. So let's select that and copy and delete that and paste here the variable instead. And then I will run the program again and we expect the same value, which is 125. And yes, as expected, it prints the same value, 125. But if the daily wage of that worker increased to be 5.5 instead of 5, but now that value is of data type double and it is no longer an integer value, so the variable that holds that value must be also of data type double. Otherwise we will get an error, where that red line here is an indication of an error. So let's change that to be double instead of integer. And yes, now the red line is gone. Okay, but what about the variable that holds the multiplication operation? Now it holds the result of multiplying a double variable, which is daily wage, by an integer one, which is the working days. Where in Java the result of any operation between double and integer values will be also a double value, either addition or subtraction or multiplication or any other operation. So that means that variable monthly wage must be also of double data type in order to be able to hold the double value that results from that operation. So let's change that to be double. And also we can see that the red line here, which is an indication of error, is gone now. And now let's run the program and get the new monthly wage of that worker. And yes, it prints the new monthly wage of the worker without any errors. Okay, now for the division operation, let's delete that. And let's say we have another two variables, say an integer variable and of name number of cookies, and say its value equals to 8, and another variable, say its name is number of children, and say its value is 4. Okay, say we wanna divide those 8 cookies on those 4 children equally. So to calculate the number of cookies for each child, we have to use the division operator. So as usual, we can put that operation directly inside the print statement. So we can say system.out.println, and say we can make division between that number of cookies, select and copy and paste here. And to make division in Java or in any programming language, the division operator or symbol is that symbol, which is also called forward slash. So we want to make division between that number of cookies and the number of children. So let's select that variable and copy and paste here. Okay, and the semicolon. And now if we run the program will first perform the division operation between that variable and that one, and then print out the result of that division operation. So let's run the program. Okay, it prints 2, where that value represents the share of each child from those 4 children from those 8 cookies. Okay, and also we can store that operation directly inside a variable and print that variable instead of the whole operation. But what if we have only 6 cookies instead of 8? So if we change that to be 6 instead of 8. If we have only 6 pieces of cookies and want to divide them on 4 children, that means each child will get 1 full piece of cookie, and then the remaining 2 pieces will be divided into 4 equal pieces and will be also divided on the 4 children, so that each child will get 1 piece and a half of cookies, which is not an integer value, but instead it is a double value. Okay, now if we try to run the program again, we expect that the result will be 1.5, which is the result of dividing 6 cookies on 4 children. So let's run the program and see the result of dividing these two variables, 6 divided 4. What? It is 1, not 1.5. What is wrong here? But if you remember, when we said that the result of any operation between two integer values, either addition or subtraction or multiplication or even division, the result will be also an integer value, even if the result is expected to be a floating point or a double value, where since these two values are integers, however the result of that division operation is, but the program will print only the integer part of the value, which is 1, and it will throw away the fraction or decimal part. So it will print out 1 and throw away the half. So to solve that problem, we have to change the data type of either of the two variables to be double, so that the program will consider that the result will be a double value as well. Although we can change the data type of both variables to be double instead of integer, but we don't have to do that. Where changing only one of those two variables will be enough to inform the program that we want the result to be a double as well. So let's change that to be double. And if you wonder how to store an integer value, which is 6, inside a variable of double data type, I know it may be weird, but Java will convert that integer value into a double value only by appending 0.0 at the end of that number, so that it will be changed from integer to double. So if we leave it as it is 6 only without 0.0 and try to print the value of that variable, it will print out the value 6.0 rather than 6, since its data type now is double. So let's print that variable only, which is number of cookies, and delete that for now. So let's run the program. And you can see that Java makes the conversion of that integer into double just by appending 0.0 at the end of that number. Okay, now if we make again the division operation, so let's say division between number of cookies and number of children. So let's copy again and paste here. Okay, now since one of those two variables is double value, so the result will be a double as well. So if we run the program now, we can see that the result must be 1.5, which is the result of dividing 6 by 4. So let's run the program. Okay, as expected, it prints the value 1.5, since we make one of those variables to be double, so the result will be double also. But what if we wanted to keep that variable as it is of data type integer, and at the same time we want to get the result of that division operation as a double value? But since in order to get the result of that operation as a double value and keep the fraction numbers so that we get 1.5 rather than 1, either of these two variables must be of double data type. So how to do that? Where we can make something called explicit conversion, where rather than changing the data type of that variable to be double instead of integer, we can keep it integer as it is and convert that integer variable into double only in this division context. And to do that, we have to proceed the variable we wanted to convert by the data type we want it to be. Say we wanted to convert that variable into double, so we have to proceed that variable with the double keyword, and then include that data type keyword between two parentheses. So say between that and that. So although that variable is of type integer, but inside this division operation it will be converted to double, so that operation will be division between double variable and integer one. So now if we try to run the program again, we must get the same value 1.5. However, that variable is of type integer, but it will be converted here in that division operation. So now we have a variable of data type double divided by a variable of data type integer, so that the result will be also of data type double. So let's run the program and see. Okay, as expected, it also prints 1.5. And also we can store that operation inside a variable as well. So let's say we have a variable, say its name is child chair, which represents the chair of each of the 4 children from that 6 cookies. So let's say child chair equals to that whole division operation, including the conversion. So let's select all that and make copy and right click, paste here and semicolon. And since that operation is between double and integer data types, so the result must be also of data type double. So let's make that variable which holds the results to be double. Okay, now let's delete that, and instead of printing that whole operation, we only print the value that holds that operation. So let's make copy and paste here And now if we run the program, we must see the same result, which is 1.5. So let's run again. And okay, as expected, we get the same result.